It blew right through us. 50 cal rockets didn't do a thing.
Where's the rest of your platoon?
Wasted, Sarge.
And we will be too, sir, if we don't get the hell out of here.
You hit Marine?
No, sir.
Then listen up. Usually the good Lord works in mysterious ways, but not today. This here is 66 tons of straight up, HE spewing divine intervention. If God is love, then you can call me Cupid.
What about that scare?
We've all run the simulations. They're tough, but they ain't invincible. Stay with the Master Chief. He'll know what to do.
Yes, sir, Sergeant.
Thanks for the tank. He never gets me anything.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
Hello everyone, this is episode 5 of my Halo 2 analysis series, and while last episode we got the first introduction to vehicles in the campaign sandbox of Halo 2, Metropolis is the first outright vehicle-focused level with basically the entire mission completable in a vehicle. Yes, even the Scarab fight at the end if you're stubborn enough. Now of course, while we had some vehicles we could use in the previous mission, it was only light vehicles like the Warthog and the Ghost. But here, right off the bat, we get to use the Scorpion gifted by the lovely Johnson himself. And quite frankly, it's the best Scorpion in the franchise. The main driver gets use of a main cannon and a turret, both of which are far more accurate than in CE, and it has a decent amount of damage that it can take, and unlike the tank in Infinite, it controls super smooth and easy. Between this version of the Scorpion and a rocket that locked onto all types of vehicles, both land and flying, any map that had both was certainly not a good time for most players in most light vehicles like the Banshee, for example. Of course, if you're in a hurry, you can always take the Warthog left to the side at the start, or hijack one of the countless Ghosts along with the bridge and zoom your way straight towards the end area with the Wraiths, especially on any difficulty lower than Legendary at least. However, assuming you take the Scorpion instead, you'll have yourself feeling like you're participating in a citywide siege almost, with you crossing the bridge under artillery fire of the Wraith to break past the first main hurdle, and then only for several Banshees, Goats, and 2 more Wraiths to group up on you once you have reached the other side of the bridge, proving to be like a second, even more challenging barrier to break down. And then once in the tunnel, the final release diverges a little bit from what we got in the original ideas, because originally they wanted parts of the system to be flooded and they were kind of intended to be used as stealth and stuff down there. Major shout out to Vengeful Vidam, by the way, for sharing that information and even better replicating it so those on PC, if you install Halo 2 Uncut, you can experience that, or at least our best guess as to the original version for this gem of a game. It's a shame we didn't get it in the final product on release. Even if it was just a visual change and had no impact on stealth, it would have slightly helped these tunnels feel less monotonous, especially after spending the entire second half of the previous mission in endless identical looking tunnels. Once back outside, and we get so many Jackal snipers that on my first playthrough I thought they had an infinite respawn here, which thankfully was not the case, but still quite a lot of deadly snipers. Then you get more Ghosts and Wraiths blocking your path, which I would argue is the next major impasse you must get through. And then once through this, we are not done yet, as we get to a downtown city area with even several more Wraiths laying fire onto Marines on top of this building over here. And then personally, I always advise going to the side road up the hill and getting the rockets there to deal with the tanks. But between all those different holdout sections of the Covenant with heavy firepower and the Wraiths that we cleared out in multiple areas earlier, it really shows how we are bit by bit chopping away at the Covenant's layers of defense. But we still have one more to crack before this area is safe. Heading up to the building and waiting patiently to get on the Scarab, where we have by far my worst performing area in this level. I'm not exaggerating when I say at least 80% of my deaths on this level are at this point. This area is just so cramped, and unlike the Scarab fights in Halo 3, the enemies on board are more numerous, more deadly, and where in those fights you could hop off the platform and run away and recover for health if you were able to escape enough gunfire or had a bubble shield or something. Here there is no such escape. Once you hop on here, you're effectively a prisoner until you're either dead or the entire Covenant crew is, because you can't jump off. Now don't misconstrue that as a complaint though, because given the overwhelming amount of firepower we were given for most of this mission that I just mentioned earlier, I feel like it was very appropriate to end it on a bit more of a challenge to make the whole level feel as it wasn't like too much of a cakewalk or anything, especially for repeat playthroughs. So to summarize what I consider the first arc of Halo 2 before we move on to the first Arbiter missions next time, Chief has returned to the Earth and has now saved it, at least from the individual invasion fleet that we were just facing. Johnson, Hood, and Miranda are proving to be of help, giving Chief and Cortana a much more comfortable playing field, so to speak, than the sort of isolated rationing situation required in the first game. As players, we've been introduced to brand new weapons such as the carbine, beam rifle, SMG, battle rifle, and energy sword already, yet we still have many more to still utilize in later levels we've yet to be introduced to. And much like the weapon sandbox, we still have many more additions to the sandbox for vehicles from CE to get to. In fact, we've actually already seen every vehicle from CE return here, in addition to several new ones in just the first few levels of the game. While we are still pretty far from the end of the campaign, where the differences between the early design documents and the final product are most apparent, in terms of gameplay especially, we've seen several interesting ideas Bungie was thinking up that we didn't get for one reason or another in the final product. From war mechanics that interact with things like stealth in the flooded tunnels we talked about today, to driving the Covenant space pickle across the ship yourself in a whole mission rather than watching Chief do it in space in a cutscene, we're starting to see hints of just how limited the development team's ambitions were by not only the deadline but also the hardware they were working on. Despite being by far my favorite game of all time, to know that the team had even higher expectations by a somewhat significant degree than what we got on release, it's just so inspiring. You just don't get that level of creativity and ambition unless you have a passion for what you are doing. And the love put into this game is just something I will never get over being excited about. Anyways, that's going to do it for today. I do commissions for scripts, art, design documents, and any other type of writing you'd probably be interested in me doing. Email for that is in the description if you're interested. If you like these videos and have some spare change, consider donating to my PayPal, which will also be in the description, so I could feed myself a little easier while I struggle to find any scrap of jobs out by me. If they exist, I swear they don't. At this rate, geez. Anyway, episode 6 covering the Arbiter will be in a few weeks. Take care out there, you all, and have a lovely day.